What would you do if you had 3 days in Chicago? Here are some of my thoughts to answer this question. Welcome to 3 Perfect Days in Chicago. I'm Michael, and Chicago is one of my favorite cities in the United States to visit because of the many cultural, culinary, and captivating experiences all year long. For this itinerary, I'm checking into the Hotel Zachary on Chicago's North Side. This hotel is super unique because of its location in Wrigleyville, right across the street from the home of the Chicago Cubs, Wrigley Field. This hotel just opened a few years ago and is named after the architect that designed the famous stadium. I made a full video of this hotel, which you can check out later. Get a good night's sleep because we're hitting the city bright and early tomorrow morning for our first full day. All right, it's our first morning in Chicago, so let's get out there and explore. After a quick coffee from Printers Row and Lincoln Park, we're ready to head out. For this first morning of our Chicago adventure, we're taking a guided tour of Chicago's North Side. Bobby's Bikes is a tour company based in the Streeterville neighborhood of Chicago, which offers a variety of short and longer tours, as well as self-guided bike rentals. We signed up for the food and beer tour, which is 4 hours long and covers 13 miles of Chicago's North Side. Our tour guide was Lizzie, and she was so entertaining as she shared stories of Chicago history and many of the local and small businesses we visited on the tour. After a quick ride out of the River North area, we made our first stop at Lou Malnati's for a slice of pizza and local summer shandy beer. Next, the tour enters Lincoln Park with a brief stop at the statue of Abraham Lincoln before heading over to Molly's Cupcakes on Clark Street. These really are my favorite cupcakes that money can buy, and thankfully there are several locations around Chicago and even in New York City's West Village to grab these fresh, batter-filled, center, delicious, amazing cupcakes. Our guide next takes us through the Lincoln Park and Lakeview neighborhood streets to see some of the traditional Chicago architecture homes and apartments along tree-lined streets to our next stop in Wrigleyville outside the famed Wrigley Field. Lizzie took pictures of everyone outside the stadium's well-known Addison and Clark entrance. Next, the tour stops at Wrigleyville Dogs for a Chicago-style hot dog, which is essentially a hot dog covered in everything you can imagine, except they are never served with ketchup. Around the corner, we stop at Murphy's Bleachers, a Cubs fan favorite bar, for a local beer before starting the picturesque finale ride along the lakefront trail back to the rental shop. This tour costs about $100 with taxes and fees, and all the food and drink are included in that price. I had a great time and would totally do this again just for the views and the exercise and the food. For the afternoon, we're heading over to the West Loop. This neighborhood is going through a lot of changes, transforming from a warehouse district near the Chicago River into a new hub for technology innovation with trendy food and shopping. To get here, catch the Pink Line to Morgan Station from the Loop. If you still have appetite after the morning bike ride, head to the Timeout Market Chicago. The Timeout Markets around the world bring local cuisine under one roof, and there's usually a good selection. I think they're a bit touristy, but I never say no to good food. A few blocks away is McDonald's World Headquarters and their test kitchen. The McDonald's store on the first floor has a sampling of McDonald's menu items served in their stores in other countries that you can't get anywhere else in the United States. To cap off the afternoon, head over to Millennium Park. On your way, grab a churro from one of the street vendors outside the Art Institute of Chicago. This is the Cloud Gate, better known as the Bean. This sculpture was built just for Chicago's newest park and is a popular spot for tourists to grab photos. It's reflective and makes for some fun and silly camera angles. Right after my visit, the Bean area closed for renovations, so make sure to check online before you go to see if you'll be able to get up close to it. Nearby is the Grand Buckingham Fountain of Grant Park. This fountain erupts on the hour with a giant column of water rising 150 feet into the air. Walking north along Michigan Avenue, you'll find the magnificent mile of shops on the River North neighborhood side of the Chicago River. Stop into the Starbucks Reserve on Michigan Avenue to taste special blends of Starbucks roasts and some tasty sandwiches and pastries. Much of what you see at the Starbucks Reserve can't be found at a regular Starbucks location, and vice versa. We tried the espresso martini flight and this flatbread pizza and found a seat on the rooftop terrace with a view of the surrounding skyscrapers and nearby water tower. Also, the city's fancy shopping street called Oak Street is just around the corner. To cap off the night, we're heading over to River and Roast along the Chicago River for some light appetizers and a cocktail with a view of the river. If you're here on a Wednesday or a Saturday in the summer or a Saturday in December, head towards the lake to catch the free fireworks display near Navy Pier at 9 p.m. And with that, head back to the hotel to rest up for day 2 tomorrow. After a quick bite to eat at the hotel, head a few blocks east to the lake for a morning walk. Lake Michigan is absolutely beautiful and is a treasure for the city. There are miles of bike paths and walking trails along the waterfront from the north to the south sides of the city. The area east of Lakeshore Drive is generally public parkland, which is great for picnicking and gathering with friends to enjoy the outdoors. You can get up close to the water's edge along this pathway like we did, and get some great shots of the skyline and the boats out on the water. My dog absolutely loves the water and enjoyed every second of this walk. Make your way into Lincoln Park on the western side of Lakeshore Drive to see one of the most iconic viewpoints of the downtown skyline at North Pond. This is a quiet and peaceful spot to take in the city or grab an upscale meal at the North Pond restaurant. A few blocks south is the Lincoln Park Zoo, which is popular with locals and is free to visit. If you have a dog, bring them to the nearby Belmont Harbor Dog Beach to play in the water, especially on a hot summer day. Next, head over a couple blocks to Clark Street for a late lunch or coffee at Collective Coffee of Lincoln Park. Another recommendation for lunch is just a few blocks further west on Fullerton called the Bourgeoisie Pig Cafe. For the rest of this afternoon, make your way up Clark Street back to Wrigleyville for a tour of Wrigley Field. Tours are only offered when the Cubs are not playing a homestand or when there are no special events happening at the stadium like concerts. The tour slots book up quickly, so reserve early. This historic stadium is one of the oldest in active use in Major League Baseball and perfectly blends in with the surrounding residential area. Walk around the outside perimeter to see the statues and tributes to Chicago Cubs legends, and snap a picture in front of the iconic red sign. For now, we'll head back to the hotel to get ready for a night on the town. For dinner and a fun night out, there are a ton of options on the north side. You can check out the area along Clark Street in Wrigleyville, or head a couple blocks over to North Halsted Street in Boys Town for a fun night out. Chicago is also known for throwing big street festivals, so check out some local focused media like Time Out or Bucket Listers on social media to see if there's any fun food festivals happening near you, like this one in the Lakeview neighborhood. We have one more day to go on this Chicago adventure, so back to the hotel we go. On this last morning, I'm grabbing a quick coffee and pastry from the coffee shop on the first floor of the hotel. If you're a hotel guest, your hot black coffee is free. We're jumping back on the train to the Loop for a walk along the Riverwalk. This pathway puts you close to the river and the passing boats to gaze up at the towering canyon of office and residential buildings. Some are so unique, like the Marina City Towers, which were built in the 60s to be a city within a city. The grassy area at the bend in the river is one of my favorite spots just to take a break and watch the city go by. If you have some time, I'd highly suggest taking one of the architecture boat tours. I've taken the speedboat tour version of the architecture tour, which takes you through the locks out onto Lake Michigan for a thrilling finale after learning about the second city's architectural gems. It's popular to kayak on the river, though it seems like a lot of work to navigate through the wake caused by the frequently passing tour boats in one of the busiest stretches of water in the country. We grabbed some sandwiches and salads for lunch from a cafe along the river called Goddess and the Baker, which is just over the bridge from the mart. Along the Riverwalk, there are some little pop-up shops selling souvenirs next to outdoor dining and a popular wine bar. From here, you could head towards the lake to Navy Pier and ride the Ferris wheel, or head to the beach to catch some rays. For a midday snack, head over to Cafe Creamery in River North for an afternoon coffee, pastry, or refreshing frozen rosé drink. This cute cafe serves some good gelato too. Before heading out to the airport, take one last stroll in Lincoln Park around the North Pond and the beautiful parkland near the Lincoln Park Zoo. It's so peaceful to sit here on a park bench and reflect on the trip and the history of this great American city. Are you ready to go to Chicago? Leave your thoughts and other recommendations in the comments. For more help planning your trip to Chicago, check out my Chicago video series playlist. Subscribe to my channel for more city guides and hotel reviews, and check out one of these recommended videos popping up next.